We have our next presenter, Collin Smith, who is head of strategy, commercial strategy at viz.ai. Let's bring Collin in. How are you doing?
Good to see everyone. Joe, good to see you, buddy. This is my second hot take, so it's happy
Uh,
to be back.
Hot takes
Um,
veteran.
yeah, I guess so. The last one was the first one, right?
It was, yeah. So hot takes two. Yeah, looking forward to what you've got in store for us. So I will duck out, let you take over. Good
Sure.
luck.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Good to see everyone. Thanks to the Breadcrumbs team, of course, for putting this together. Armando, Tori, everyone is so helpful. It's always a pleasure to be here. So second hot takes. I think this one. I have a feeling this one's going to be a little spicier than the last. I think the last one we talked about the importance of measuring ROI on your tech stack, which has become even more, I think, important with this macroeconomic climate. Um, and so this one today, a little more controversial. The request a demo button is dying, right? It's purposely dramatic, but excited to get into it. So my name is Collin Smith, head of commercial strategy at VizAI. We are the industry leader in healthcare artificial intelligence. We deal primarily with neurovascular AI modules, but we, of course, have expanded to other disease states. Many of you likely have not heard of Viz unless you're in the health tech sector. We've done very well in the last few years, raised a Series D at a unicorn valuation, and have been ranked as the top AI technology by Forbes 3 years in a row. So I'm really proud of the work we're doing. We're doing some great stuff. And I guess, yeah, interesting fact. This is kind of a funny one. Last February, I was walking through New Orleans with a colleague. We were at a conference, and Nicolas Cage was filming a movie down the street, and we snuck onto the set, and the chair actually opened up next to the main actor in a big scene. And I guess well, I don't guess I snuck on to the scene, got on in the chair, and now I am an extra in the movie. So if anyone has an agent, let me know. I need one ASAP. So the origin story, right? Hot take is that the request a demo button is dying. And as a revenue leader, this really is something that's meant a lot to me in the last few months, the last few years. So the origin is really from my own personal experience, but I did, dig into some data here. I'm a data guy, so I'm gonna share that in a second. COVID really has normalized technology for us, right? It used to be very complex, sometimes convoluted buying technology, buying software for our business. But now, if you're a manager or up, that's a part of your job, right? Like if you're a manager, and a lot of I'm sure managers are on this conversation, you know that it's part of our job to evaluate technology and adopt it for our business needs, and being able to do so successfully is mandatory. And so you kind of need to know how to evaluate technology. And we've really become normalized to doing so. And the result of that is that there's been a lot of market shifts in how us as buyers want to buy technology. I believe that there's really been a world shift. And here's a few data points that I did ahead of our conversation today. Again, I'm seeing this on mine as a revenue leader, but I want to share these data points as well, right? 1.4 trillion in lost revenue and wasted sales due to the B2B SaaS companies failing to meet buyers' digital experiences preferences. 70% of B2B buyers prefer a self-serve demo option, which if you're a revenue leader, I'm sure I'll raise my hand. You've had your reps come to you and say, hey, folks want to feel our product. They don't want to get on demos yet. Is there a way that we can share a sandbox with them or something? I know that I hear that a lot. And then 77% of B2B buyers will not speak to sales until they've done their online research. That, not surprising. I think we've been hearing stuff like that for a while. And so businesses are losing a lot of money as their buyers are continuing to evolve and shift how they want to purchase, how they want to learn. And so in short, right, it really comes down to this consumerization of software. You look at Apple, you look at Amazon, you look at a lot of our favorite vendors, and they've kind of conditioned us to have this try before you buy mentality. We've really adopted a de-risked purchasing expectation. Try it before you buy it. If you don't like it, you can return it, right? And while we are business professionals, we're also consumers, right? We're moms, we're dads, we're whole humans. And so we bring those consumer purchasing behaviors into our workplace. And so a few takeaways here is that we've really become conditioned to buy business software like consumers. And I'm not saying that sales is going to be replaced. Nope. Sales is still an extremely valuable revenue driver and will most likely never be replaced by PLG. I think PLGs are powerful. Sales is also very powerful. A lot of companies are doing hybrid and seeing a lot of success with that, right? But really, in short, here, companies need to find a way to put the power of their product in prospects' hands at the moment of their highest intent, when they're pulling up the tab to research you against your competitor, when they're pulling up 4 tabs to research you against all the alternatives. You need to beat your competitors to the punch, put your product in their hands. And in practice, here's a few things that you can do this quarter to meet your buyers where they are. All right. So, first is set your SDR teams up, your outbound sales teams, with some kind of shared sandbox that they can send out when prospecting. Help them out. Getting on cold calls or getting cold calls to land, booking demos is harder than ever before. We're seeing historic lows on conversions from some of these outbound tactics. And so we need to arm them with new ways to really meet the buyer where they are. And once you do drive them through one of these sandboxes, push them into the call to action you want, right? I mean, there's a reason that we're giving it to them. We're trying to convert them. We're trying to lead them down the path that we want. And so if you're a sales-led company, lead them through a sandbox and then ask them to book a one-on-one demo, right? If you're a product-led company, ask them to give it a try for free. They're able to see the full version of your product now, convert them into your freemium. And a buddy of mine started a company called ReachSuite.io. I think they're doing some really cool stuff. It's beautiful. Very impressed on the way that they've been able to convert sandboxes into high fidelity self-serve product experiences. So if you have a sandbox like we do at Viz, right, you can just pop open an extension and you can automatically convert that sandbox into a full product experience. It feels real, looks real, and of course you can you can build different value stories on top of it depending on who your different prospects are and what you want them to see differently. So check out ReachSuite.io. I really like what those guys are doing over there. And key takeaway: imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. So begin mixing product experiences into your inbound, outbound, and product-led growth campaigns. I think some guy in DC said that. All right, Q&A. I'm a little I'm curious to see and hear what some of the questions are. I know this is a spicy
Yeah.
one.
For sure. We'll see if somebody pops in with a question or two. But in the meantime, this is something super relevant to what we're working on at Breadcrumbs constantly. I love the plug for the technology. Remind me the name of the business.
Yeah, so some of my buddies are starting a company called ReachSuite.
Mhm.
Really interesting platform. I think it comes from a lot of experience with struggling with prospects and leaving money on the table by not being able to share your product and its
For
full
sure.
capacity, right? So not necessarily PLG, but your full sandbox with all of your dummy data loaded into it and being able to
Yeah.
share that at scale.
And I've seen, that strategy employed with businesses when I'm going to look for software, right? As
Yeah,
somebody who kind of operates as kind of an internal RevOps person for our business, I'm always looking, is there some way that we can make this easier for the buyer? Is there some way that we can, like you said, meet them where they're at? And having that experience that's touch and feel, right, is
yeah,
exactly what we see from clients more and more.
yeah,
And we see it in, at least in what our current iteration of just allowing a freemium offer, right?
yeah.
How have you seen some of that stuff like changing over time, or have you guys started to incorporate some of that touch and feel? I know maybe a little bit more difficult in the health AI space, but are there ways that you help enable your team or your reps to meet your prospects where they're at?
Yeah. So, the best answer is building a sandbox that you can share with the world, right? The challenge with building a sandbox is that there's something called mutability, which is it's a new word for me. It's the ability for something to be changed or not changed over time, right? And when you build a product, a demo specifically, a sandbox, it's mutable. So it can be changed every time a rep enters a new record, every time a rep, you know, adds something, change something, it changes for everyone. So every time you're getting on the demo each day, right, it's a different version of that sandbox. And so you want to build something that's immutable because you want to share that with all your prospects. That's really difficult, it turns out. I wouldn't have thought that. When we went to go scope this out at Viz, I mean, this is a huge lift for our engineering team. And these are folks that would have to leave building product for our product roadmap to go build this. And it's a huge challenge to build software like that. So that's why there's some great solutions. Again, Retweet being one of them that helps you bypass that and do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I've hit that roadblock internally multiple times trying
I
to
wouldn't
say,
have
hey,
thought I wouldn't have thought it takes so long, but it
yeah,
does.
it does. And hey, development team, I need the app again in a different state, right? That's a huge ask from the sales enablement kind of perspective. But what's interesting too is how you brought in this idea of this consumerism into the buying experience. And look, we're on our phones constantly. We download an app, we try it out, we say we like it, they give you the option to subscribe or we delete it, right? And
Yep.
it's interesting how that has really made its way into the buyer journey in B2B software these days. Like, how do you see that continuing to evolve?
Yeah. So Joe, I have two thoughts on this. First one is, we are whole humans, so we show up to work as a whole person, right? There's no such thing as Collin at home and Collin at work. I mean, of course, you change a little bit, but you really do bring those consumer preferences now that we
Mhm.
have such strong consumer conditioning and preferences into the workplace. And so I think it's impossible for us to assume that in not this being one theme and trend, but others will come as consumers continue to be shifted by our consumer technologies. We'll bring that into B2B SaaS. The second is COVID, right? I think that COVID has really um, mixed our personal and professional lives. I mean,
Mhm.
over there is my kitchen,
Yeah,
right? Right? Like this, like
exactly.
your dog becomes your coworker. Your for some people, their kitchen table becomes their desk. Like our work and our personal life have blended, and so it's even more pronounced. Um,
For sure.
our consumerization behaviors.
Yeah. And kind of my last point is really thinking about who our B2B software buyers are more and more looking like is like I'm pushing 40 in a year. I'm in this
Yeah,
kind of millennial Gen X kind of crossover generation. But man, I'm going to age myself. I feel like the old guy in the room now when it comes to talking to teams and talking to potential buyers. There's a lot more of this. Like I forgot the next generation's name, but that the next
yeah,
generation,
Gen
the
Z,
late
right?
80s to the 90s, who are
Oh
coming
yeah,
through that are in these positions to buy software and make business
yeah,
decisions, and they have definitely come up in this age where that is the reality for them of how they're going to interact with software, how they're going to interact with other folks digitally,
yeah.
and making those decisions.
Two things, Joe. Wouldn't have put you past 29, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I need some of your skincare. Here's
It's a filter.
here's the there you go. Here's the stat that threw me for a loop. I think it was like a U.S. Bureau of Labor statistic that 75% of our workforce will be millennials by 2025.
Mhm.
That's insane. Like I wouldn't have thought about like if you would have asked me, I don't know, I would throw out like 50%. I don't know. It's a shot in the dark. 75%. And so
Mhm.
we're gonna have to accommodate. I mean, I'm a millennial, right? We're gonna have to accommodate our digital native preferences in all stages. This is one wedge on the entire pie chart. There's going to be a lot of other elements too.
Definitely. Well, Colin, we're up against time. Appreciate the presentation. It was wonderful. If anybody wants to watch or listen, you have access later. Uh, Once again, thank you. Hope to connect in the future, and good luck.
Pleasure. See y'all soon. Bye.
All right, thank you. All right, everyone, we will be back in 5. Looks like we've got a next presentation from Johan, and looking forward to getting that kicked off soon. Talk soon.